Oremus. Mark Zuckerberg says fake news on Facebook had no impact on the election, by Will Oremus. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Thursday defended the social network's role in the U.S. presidential election. False news stories that were shared hundreds of thousands of times on the network, including claims that the Pope had endorsed Donald Trump and that Hillary Clinton would be arrested on charges related to her private email server, surely had no impact on the election, he said, speaking at the Techonomy conference. Voters make decisions based on their lived experience, Zuckerberg went on. The notion that fake news stories on Facebook influenced the election in any way, he added, is a pretty crazy idea. In an extended onstage interview with David Kirkpatrick, author of The Facebook Effect, Zuckerberg noted that fabricated stories made up a small fraction of all the content shared on Facebook, and he suggested that the criticism Facebook has received for fueling such falsehoods was rooted in condescension on the part of people who failed to understand Donald Trump's appeal. I think there is a certain profound lack of empathy in asserting that the only reason someone could have voted the way they did is because they saw fake news, Zuckerberg said. If you believe that, then I don't think you internalized the message that Trump voters are trying to send in this election. Here, Kirkpatrick broke in to ask Zuckerberg what that message was. Zuckerberg demurred, suggesting he'd return to that question after he had finished his thought. He did not. Zuckerberg suggested that the clincher to his argument was that, to the extent fake news was shared, it must have been shared by Clinton supporters as well as those who backed Trump. Why would you think there would be fake news on one side and not the other? In fact, fake news was shared by both sides, but a BuzzFeed analysis of 1,137 posts by 6 significant, hyper-partisan news sources, 3 conservative and 3 liberal, found that mostly or partly false stories on the right outnumbered those on the left by a ratio of 2 to 1. BuzzFeed separately reported on a cottage fake news industry that had sprung up in Macedonia, largely around pro-Trump and anti-Clinton content. People who produced the bogus stories said they had tried pro-Clinton content, but found that it was less likely to go viral. Zuckerberg also took a question about whether Facebook might be contributing to the country's political division by insulating its users in filter bubbles, communities of like-minded people who reinforce one another's biases rather than challenging them. There, too, Zuckerberg found the criticism misplaced. All the research we have suggests that this isn't really a problem, he said. For whatever reason, we've had a really tough time getting that out. He cited a Facebook-funded 2015 study that concluded that while Facebook's news feed does tend to show people information that supports their political views, their own choices about what to read play a greater role. That study was itself criticized by some for soft-pedaling its findings. Social media researcher and writer Zeynep Tufekci rebutted it in some depth. Zuckerberg noted that Facebook takes fake news and hoaxes seriously and provides users tools to report them. Despite his view that they played no role in the election, he said Facebook would continue to work to address the problem. He also said Facebook will continue to explore ways to expose users to a diversity of views in their news feeds.
your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Got fingers. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Got fingers. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Got fingers. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. If a DJ standing behind the decks and he hears what I say, he's gonna reload that. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. Man, try diss me, reload that. I'm still winning, reload that. Oi. Oi. Reload that. Direct on the rhythm. Direct on the rhythm. Somebody told me this boy didn't. Just right in direct on the rhythm. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. If a DJ standing behind the decks and he hears what I say, he's gonna reload that. Direct on the rhythm. Direct on the rhythm. Somebody told me this boy didn't. Just right in direct on the rhythm. And I never done one of them rhythms, so bang, I'ma let one of them hit him. Somebody told me this boy didn't. Just try in direct on the rhythm. Didn't wanna do it, they didn't wanna try do it. Then they didn't wanna do it, they didn't wanna try do it. Then they didn't wanna do it, they didn't wanna try do it. Didn't wanna do it, they didn't wanna try do it. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. If a DJ standing behind the decks and he hears what I say, he's gonna reload that. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. Man, try diss me, reload that. I'm still winning, reload that. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Reload that. Don't want it up, try run up your guns. Man might send for 100 guns of 100 junglers. Surround your mums. Pop up for fun. Direct on the rhythm. Direct on the rhythm. Somebody told me this boy didn't. Just right in direct on the rhythm. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. If a DJ standing behind the decks and he hears what I say, he's gonna reload that. Direct on the rhythm. Direct on the rhythm. Somebody told me this boy didn't. Just right in direct on the rhythm. Oi, blood, reload that. Heard what I said, like reload that. If a DJ standing behind the decks and he hears what I say, he's gonna reload that. Direct on the rhythm. Direct on the rhythm. Somebody told me this boy didn't. Just right in direct on the rhythm. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand, got fingers. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand, got fingers. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Push up your hand. Major Jaskins, we don't play.
Get those people out of here.
Right here is the motherfucking Jaguar, the motherfucking Ninja, motherfucking man, my homie. Big shout out to my Jamaicans in Flatbush with the ill weed connect. Got the monkeys right now. I'm about to go give me some fried chicken. Give me the extra macaroni and cheese with the extra cheesy shit on it. You know what I mean? Cause my whole life I think about cheese. I want extra cheese on my motherfucking pizza. I want extra cheese on my motherfucking macaroni. I'm all about that cheese, nigga. If you ain't about that cheese, get the fuck out of my face, man.
Yo, scumbag, no morals. Pudding back those bottles. It's a lot, don't want no quarrels. Them things there might end in sorrow. Scumbag, no morals. Pudding back those bottles. It's a lot, don't want no quarrels. Them things there might end in.
This one's for the man who don't give a shit and don't play fair. This one's for the man who'll take your shit and make it theirs. This one's for the man who don't play games and don't take care. This one's for the man who snake their mates and take their share. There's bear, but I don't condone that. Done some crook, but I ain't no road man. Don't take kindly to those man. I don't wanna know man, if you wanna show man how you patrol on road with your own gang. That don't make you a grown man. 16 bars don't make you a flow down. Holding knives won't change you to Conan. And guns don't make you a bad man. Drugs don't make you a gangster. See man, some fool for the white. And I don't mean flakes of the snow in Lapland. Life's like one big lap dance car. If you got no dough, get laughed at. While the man with the papes go smack that, tap that, and get blown like Baghdad. You might shot grand to the Afghan, but when you're 40, the notes won't last, fam. How you gonna pay for your lad's bath? How you gonna pay for your wifey's handbag? Scrap that, ain't done maths, lad. Cut the line, but you won't go past that. Shut your mind and now you're just trapped in trap. It's hard when the notes won't stop, but you can't look back till your days is done. Shit gets weird and fate is foot, but grind it hard and change will come. Make your way, have faith and play the game. Don't remain in a state of slumber. Make them numbers raise in abundance, but I won't conform now, bun that. I'll always be a scumbag. 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 I'll always be a scumbag.
Let's do this thing. Armed and ready. Ceasefire. and red.
Nation. So that's the first place to start. Of course, they have a link as well that you can donate. And Judy, the founder, wanted to be very clear that 90 cents of every dollar goes back to the program for the vets. Right. So if you're doing something, you really are making a difference and sending these men and women that so greatly deserve it.
I see your face light up. This is a personal
It is,
story.
and I start to get emotional. My husband served 12 years active duty as an infantry officer. He deployed several times overseas to combat zones. We lost our friends, so we did 2 tours in Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan, and I personally watched him struggle as he tried to transition back home. And it was a family effort to try to make sure that he was healthy and happy and that we could have our children. And that's what they deserve, because they sacrifice so much on a daily basis, even now as we stand here to talk. And I just feel as though a little bit, even a hug, a card, just to know that they remember the service that they've done.
Such a
yeah, that
difference.
we're thinking about them, it does. So we would be remiss not to mention on this day and every day how much we appreciate their service.
Such a great point, Alex. So good to see you.
Thank
you for joining
you as
us.
well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Alex Dance from our WCBS station here in New York. Thank you, Alex. Well, today is November 11th. Here in the U.S., it's Veterans Day, but in China, it's Singles Day, also known as a country's version of Cyber Monday. An online global shopping festival is underway across China. Sales are skyrocketing into the billions. Our Adriana Diaz is in Beijing tracking the biggest deals of the century.
The date 11/11 was originally chosen because of all the lonely ones. But in 2009, China's e-commerce giant Alibaba saw an opportunity to reinvent it, turning a day that originally celebrated single life into the online shopping frenzy it is now.
3、2、1、2016。
Sales started at midnight, passing $5 billion in just the first hour and eclipsing last year's total of more than $13 billion after 3 p.m. Celebrity reinforcements were called in to help kick off the extravaganza. David and Victoria Beckham, Kobe Bryant, and OneRepublic took the stage at the company's launch party. In a sign of the times, nearly 85% of purchases were made on smartphones. An estimated 1 million packages will make their way through China this week. This shipping center uses robots to sort purchases. And while the mega sale shows the buying power of Chinese consumers and highlights China's shift to a consumer-driven economy, the eye-popping numbers defy the economy's slowing growth, something the communist regime here has been trying desperately to stimulate. For those who can't control themselves, there's some good news. One manager here is withholding paychecks until after Singles Day, so employees don't blow it all online. For CBSN, Adriana Diaz, Beijing.
Well, coming up, President-elect Donald Trump is forming his cabinet. We'll have the latest on who's in for the top spots at the White House. Meanwhile, cities across the country are still on edge after protests erupt overnight. We'll take a look at the continued unrest over Donald Trump's win and 48 hours. They go inside the case of Kayla Brown. You remember her? She was found earlier this month, chained like a dog to a storage container. Her captor has now confessed to killing many more people. David Begnaud spoke to this man's mother. You're watching CBSN, always on.
These pizzas are the same, but depending on the day of the week, they aren't the same price. That's not right, so we're fixing it. Now you can carry out large 3-topping Domino's pizzas for $7.99 every day of the week.
You're not getting your best sleep? Could be you've got the wrong bed. Enter Sleep Out. But you guys bed soft. These more hardcore. Both adjusted beds for the best sleep. You want to take a picture? 36-month special financing. Let me have your phone. With Sleep Out.
With a prepaid Visa Rush card, get your direct deposit up to 2 days early.
So what are you doing while we're going?
So your money's ready when you are.
What about that one?
And you're free to do the things that matter most.
Hold on a minute. Where is my Rush card?
And now with Rush Card's new pause protection feature, you can pause and resume your own account. Get your direct deposit up to 2 days early. And pause protection. Sign up at rushcard.com today.
What's going on here?
Oh, hey, Allison. I'm Val, the Orange Money Retirement Squirrel from Voya.
Val from Voya?
Yeah, Val from Voya.
Quick question. What are Voya retirement squirrels doing in my house?
We're putting away acorns. You know, to show the importance of saving for the future.
So you're sort of like a spokesperson?
No, I'm more like a metaphor.
Okay, a spokesmetaphor.
No, I'm...
You're a spokesmetaphor.
Yeah, okay.
See how Voya can help you get organized at Voya.com. You found your car on Cars.com.
I'm a robot.
Yeti. And found a place to service it, too. Now, when you're ready, you can sell your old car and find your new one, all on Cars.com. You know us for shopping, and now we're there for every turn. Cars.com.
Have this incredible responsibility.
Face the nation.
We want to bring you some breaking news at the top of the hour. Our station in Pittsburgh is reporting that a SWAT team has responded to a possible active shooter situation in the area of Homestead. Officers and emergency crews are staging in the area of West Street, that's near Turtle Creek Valley Mental. No further information, though, has been released at this time.
What do I say? You say all that, then you say all that matters, and then you both say on CBS this morning.
It's Charlie's signature line.
So I'm saying this?
No, I'm really nervous.
All that and all that matters?
I don't want to screw it up.
Do you want me to do it as like an impression of you? Or
Yes,
my own voice?
yes.
I'm Charlie Rose. All that.
All that.
All that. Pause. And all.
And all that matters.
What the else am I going to say? It's not all that and a bunch of nonsense.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rena Nine, and Donald Trump is hunkered down in Trump Tower today in the process of forming his future White House administration. The president-elect tweeted this morning, busy day planned in New York. We'll soon be making some very important decisions on the people who will be running our government. Vice President-elect Mike Pence is taking over Trump's transition team. He's replacing New Jersey Governor Chris Christie as chairman. CBS News senior political editor Steve Shigaris is in Washington. Steve, what can you tell us about this move?
Well, it's interesting. I think we had a feeling that Pence was going to have a larger role as Donald Trump's right-hand man, and now we're seeing it in terms of transition. You know, Christie was tapped to run the transition when they formed the transition committee over the summer. Basically, you know, getting lists of people, doing some initial vetting on potential folks who could serve in Trump's administration. But now they're in a new phase after the election, after he wins, and now they're really ramping this phase up. There's 70 days until the inauguration, and they got to get these positions filled. So they're tapping a guy like Pence, who has that Washington experience and has the connections in Washington, and then put all these other folks as vice chairs. I mean, people that we've seen really that are really loyal Donald Trump supporters. They were out there campaigning on his behalf. People like Christie, people like Ben Carson, Newt Gingrich, General Mike Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, Jeff Sessions. They're all going to be involved in this. And then there's another layer of people that are involved in this transition team. People who were on his campaign staff, people who other supporters, his family members, including his son-in-law Jared Kushner. So there are, and basically everybody who surrounded him is going to be involved in this transition, but they've elevated Pence as the guy who's really spearheading this effort to find folks to work in Trump's administration.
Steve, I'm curious how much of this has to do with Bridgegate, where two of Chris Christie's aides were found guilty for using the closing of GW Bridge, a particular exit, for political retaliation for not backing Governor Christie's re-election campaign. Does any of this bode horribly for him and his future prospects of working in the Trump administration?
I mean, I'm sure that controversy is not going to help Christie if he's trying to find a gig as a cabinet member. I mean, there might be other roles for him in the White House that wouldn't be necessarily an impediment for it. But trying to get through the Senate and Senate confirmation with that in his background might be tough. I do think that probably that has part to do with this, but Mike Pence is a guy who knows Washington. He knows these players. They've got to ramp up very, very quickly. And so Christie may have been the guy that got the research done in the run-up. But for somebody who's going to implement this process, they're really going to more of the insider type. And look, this also speaks to one of the reasons why they brought Mike Pence aboard in the beginning. I mean, remember when he picked Pence as his running mate, one of the reasons why they brought him on was to really be a bridge to those establishment Republicans, to inside the Beltway Republicans, and to really calm the fears of some of those Republicans who were worried about the idea of Trump as the nominee. Well, now you have Trump as the president-elect, and so putting a guy like Pence in a higher profile role, in a much more hands-on role, to deal with this process of getting ready to be president of the United States, it just sort of makes more sense to have him in there than have somebody like Christie, who doesn't have the Washington experience necessarily, and is sort of a damaged goods based on the Bridgegate scandal.
Steve, we know George W. Bush relied heavily on his vice president, Dick Cheney. Do you think we're going to see a similar relationship dynamic here with Trump and Pence?
I'd be shocked if we don't. I mean, this seems to be a signal that that's the direction they're going. Keep in mind, Donald Trump has zero political experience. He has zero Washington experience. And so while he may, be a self-styled CEO and delegate to others, and that's how he's run his business as this sort of man at the top, but he has other people doing a lot of the detailed work, that seems to be the role that Pence might be falling into here. It was what we thought could happen if Trump won, and now that we're seeing this elevation to this role of running the transition, I think that's probably a signal that this is likely what Pence's situation will be in a Trump administration, as somebody he's going to go to for a lot of the detail work, for a lot of the policy work, for dealing with Capitol Hill and others around Washington.
Steve Chigueras from our Washington Bureau. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Rena.
Well, protests over Donald Trump's election victory intensified last night, and some even became violent. Police in Portland, Oregon say a riot broke out after thousands took to the streets. Law enforcement clashed with demonstrators in other cities as well, including Oakland, Denver, and Minneapolis. President-elect Trump took to Twitter last night in response, writing, quote, "Just had a very open and successful presidential election. Now professional protesters incited by the media are protesting. Very unfair." But his tone changed this morning when he tweeted out, "Love the fact that the small groups of protesters last night have passion for our great country. We will all come together and be proud." Well, fighting ISIS will be a key task for the Trump administration. Defense Secretary Ash Carter has a message for the next administration: finish the job. Carter spoke with Norah O'Donnell in his first interview since the election.
Just had an election. People are still talking about it. What was your message, though, to the Defense Department?
Stay out of, we stand apart from politics. I was extremely vigilant and in making sure that in my own comments and statements, I never commented on the presidential campaign, which of course went on for many, many months.
And you're not going to do that here?
No, I will not do that.
But there are still some hot spots around the world that a new administration will have to deal with. So what would be your advice to the next administration in terms of ISIS?
Keep at the campaign, finish the destruction of ISIL in Iraq and Syria, continue to strike them elsewhere where they arise, like Libya and Afghanistan, and then above all, protect our own citizens, our own people, which is not simply a military task, but involves intelligence and law enforcement and homeland security.
Just to address, though, when some people have suggested that the generals have been defamed, or that the generals are not being able to do what they want to do in terms of the fight against ISIS.
Our military officers, remember, by this time, after 15 15 years of this kind of campaign are vastly knowledgeable about how to carry out counterinsurgency campaigns, carry out counterterrorism campaigns. So there's a vast reservoir of experience and wisdom and strategic thinking here. And one of my jobs as Secretary of Defense is always to make sure that professional military advice is made available to our policymakers.
Each year, on the 11th day of the 11th month, Americans and many of our allies celebrate Veterans Day.
Present! Present! Oh!
For his last time in office, President Obama honored our veterans at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery.
You who once wore the uniform of our Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard, we owe you our thanks. We owe you our respect, and we owe you our freedom.
The president also noted that as the country looks for ways to come together after the election, veterans are some of our very best examples. Well, still ahead of this hour on CBSN, 48 Hours investigates an accused serial killer in South Carolina. What the suspect's mother told our David Begnaud when we returned. Plus, the CEO behind the controversial Dakota Access Pipeline says a Trump White House will push his project past the protests. This is CBSN.
With a prepaid Visa Rush Card, get your direct deposit up to 2 days early.
So what are you doing tomorrow for your birthday, Dad?
So your money's ready when you are.
What about that one? Fine choice.
And you're free to do the things that matter most.
Thank you so much. Where's my Rush Card?
And now with Rush Card's new pause protection feature, you can pause and resume your own account. Get your direct deposit up to 2 days early. And pause protection. Sign up at rushcard.com today.
Not getting your best sleep? Could be you've got the wrong bed. Enter Sleep Number. She likes the bed soft. He's more hardcore. You can both adjust the bed for the best sleep of your life. Right now, save $500 on the Queen CSC mattress, plus 36-month special financing. No better sleep with Sleep Number.
How to go live if you've got a hidden talent that you're ready to make not so hidden. If you have a thing, but your friends don't know about your thing, then take matters into your own hands by taking that phone in your hand and opening Facebook. Press this and go live. Now, introduce yourself. Tell them about the thing. All right, hit them with that talent. You're doing great. And even if you're not, your friends will probably still think you're awesome.
You found your car on Cars.com.
I'm a robot.
Get it? And found a place to service it, too. Now, when you're ready, you can sell your old car and find your new one, all on Cars.com. You know us for shopping, and now we're there for every turn. Cars.com.
We're on the road showing real people the stain-fighting power of OxiClean.
Stains on t-shirt, I see it coming out pretty quickly. The stain is gone. That's a huge difference. You could see how it was really disgusting and how white it is now.
Looks like the stain is coming out. The OxiClean started to lift it up. I'm pretty impressed.
OxiClean, America's #1 versatile stain remover. Now get the power of OxiClean in a detergent. One cap beats 4 of theirs. OxiClean gets the tough stains out.
This week's 48 Hours goes inside the case of a young kidnapped woman in South Carolina. Kayla Brown was found earlier this month chained like a dog to a storage container. Her captor, Todd Colehep, has now confessed to killing 7 people. David Begnaud spoke with the accused killer's mother on a special report for 48 Hours. Here's a preview.
Todd is not a monster. He's not even close to it. He wasn't doing it for enjoyment. He was doing it because he was mad and he was hurt.
This is Regina Tague, the mother of self-confessed killer Todd Kolob.
Given what your son has admitted, your son is the definition of what's known as a serial killer.
I hate that. I know that's what they say. He was very misunderstood.
But sheriff's deputies say there's no misunderstanding. Todd Kolob is responsible for at least 7 murders. His dark past came to light when 30-year-old Kayla Brown was found chained to a container. She and her boyfriend, Charlie Carver, were missing for 2 months. She was found on Kolob's property.
She was yelling.
She was banging very hard on the container. She was bound. There was a chain from the top of the cage to something else that went around her neck. She was distraught, panicked.
Her boyfriend, Charlie Carver, was not as fortunate.
She said she witnessed him being shot.
After he was taken into custody, Kolob asked to speak with his mother. She says he told her everything and apologized.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Did he cry?
His eyes were horrible. They were red.
Why did he kill her boyfriend?
Because he got nasty and got smart mouth.
Why did he chain that girl up?
Because he didn't know what to do at that point. She saw evidently him kill her boyfriend. And he didn't know what to do with her. He couldn't turn her loose. She'd go get the police.
Last Saturday, Kolob led Sheriff Chuck Wright to his property. He showed the sheriff's investigators where he had buried Carver and 2 drifters he murdered after allegedly hiring them to work on his property.
He was very polite and remorseful, actually. I said a prayer with him.
What would take everyone by surprise was when Kolob also admitted to gunning down 4 people in a notorious coal case. It had become known as the Superbike murders. Kolob had wanted to return a motorcycle.
They laughed at him, made jokes at him. Everybody's hurt. He hurt everybody.
Well, Wall Street is responding favorably to Donald Trump's victory. The Dow Jones Index reached a record high Thursday. Analysts say the markets are optimistic about Trump's plan to stimulate the economy, cut taxes, and limit financial regulations. CBS News financial contributor Melody Hobson explained earlier what Trump's presidency could mean for corporate America.
These dire predictions about the markets thus far, after those initial first hours, have not come to pass. Why is that?
I think there are 3 reasons. The first, which we cannot understate, is he got the whole enchilada. He got both houses of Congress. And as the Wall Street Journal said today, it's not a question of if legislation will pass, which is what we've been dealing with for the last several years, but what legislation will pass. So I think that sense of that gridlock being over, they've got the votes. The second thing I think that was very important, Brexit was a dress rehearsal. People saw something, pretty dramatic happened and the world did not end. And I think the Brexit story will play out longer term, maybe not as well as we've seen, but that initial sense of there's been this shock, we were wrong, and, the world didn't come to an end. It's exactly, stress rehearsal. And then last but not least, I think this rhetoric has helped, that we've gotten away from the very divisive language. Secretary Clinton had a graceful exit. It was a graceful acceptance speech, and the pictures yesterday, I think, were very calming.
It does make a difference.
Yeah.
You've spoken to executives on both sides of the aisle, business executives. What are they saying to you?
So uniformly, Republican or Democrat, shock.
Yeah.
Uniformly, in terms of the halls of corporate America. I talked to CEOs, chief financial officers, general counsels. There is some sense of anticipation and expectation of better tax policy, and the idea that they will be able to bring some of these dollars that have been